We've gone from 100 miles an hour to 0.
If we can't start trading again, money will run out.
British business is at a standstill. The economic cost measured by our absence from streets, shops and offices.
You are in a war against an invisible enemy.
It's just totally beyond anyone's control.
Revival depends on lifting the lockdown. But in the age of social distancing, can Britain safely go back to work? Construction is one of the few industries that has kept working. This site in Gloucestershire, building more than 100 retirement apartments, has been operating rain or shine throughout. But social distancing has cut the workforce to around 60% and forced them to change every aspect of the working day.
Traditionally this would be a 2 or 3 man operation. You'd get through the room much faster and much quicker, but we now have to do it safely with social distancing.
People can only work together if they're more than 2 metres apart, and even the canteen is used in shifts, 5 people at a time. Managing Director Mark Wakeford believes his industry may have lessons other sectors can learn from, but COVID-19 will still exact a price.
It's very difficult to cut your losses and run in this industry. I think some companies will face insolvency. I can't see how companies that are already on the edge are going to stay solvent, given some of the pressures that are going to come.
Many companies are just beginning to plan how they will reopen to staff currently at home or on furlough. Millions of people work indoors in offices like this. There'd normally be more than 50 people working at these desks. The question now is, how do they get back to work safely? The answer is social distancing on a scale modern workplaces are simply not designed to accommodate. These lines mark out a 2-metre space that will have to be around every single employee. Social distancing means none of the desks in this area can be used. You can see the problem. Constrained physical space will mean fewer staff on site for months.
We will definitely need to be looking at a phased re-entry into the office for a number of reasons. Reducing congestion in commuting, as well as reducing congestion and density within the offices.
The pandemic struck entertainment and hospitality hardest of all. Bloomsbury Lane's bowling alley in central London opened in the week of the 7/7 bombings, but it's never had a hit to business like this.
This might be the way you actually do it. You have one group taking 2 lanes, so you've got your distance.
John knows businesses like his may have to wait until the outbreak is all but eliminated. He wants the employee furlough scheme extended and a VAT cut to keep the industry afloat.
I think it'd be unfair if you have coffee shops around the corner with 50 people queuing outside, and pubs or bowling alleys or restaurants have to will can't open firstly, or have to have real massive restrictions when they do. You'd be at 50% of revenue, if that. I mean, no one knows how quickly a conference will come back and people will want to come out.
The Michelin-starred Pied à Terre restaurant offers a more genteel environment, but the challenge is the same.
So it could be between 4 and 6 people looking after a moderately busy restaurant.
All in and out of here.
All in and out of here.
The demands of social distancing are incompatible with working life in a busy restaurant and with business models based on table plans that will have to be ripped up to give customers the space they need.
It really is a small restaurant, but it can have maybe 40 people on the ground floor. If we're only going to be doing 20 and I'm paying the same rent, it's going to be tricky to see how the business will make money, how it will survive.
At supermarkets, we've adapted to social distancing out of necessity. Now 2-metre gaps and one-way shopping mark the way out of lockdown for the high street. This is Regent Street, home to some of the biggest names in retail, and it's almost deserted. When these shops do reopen, they're going to have to change. This may, for now, be the end of browsing. It also poses fresh questions about the future of shopping on the high street, where many are banking on offering customers experiences which may be impossible with social distancing. Independent shop owners like Christina have no choice but to adapt.
We'll allow people to come in on set times for browsing. Then we will have also a booking system online where people can book in order to
try
close on.
Okay. Many businesses are being kept alive with taxpayer support, but what nobody knows is how we, the customers, will react when the shackles are released.
I think it will happen in waves. There's going to be the people who are absolutely keen to get out as quickly as possible. They will lead the way for us. The rest of us will follow on once the coast is clear.
After 6 weeks of lockdown, we could all do with a haircut, but salon owner James wonders whether he can afford to wait. Without even a vague idea of when customers may return, it may make more sense to close for good.
The business model starts to break down. You can't pay the same amount of rent, business rates, all of the debts that may have been built up through this lockdown period. And so as a business owner, you start to look at that and you say, well, is it worth it?
The lockdown required to save lives was always intended to be temporary, but the changes required to lift it will likely last far longer, with devastating economic consequences of their own. Paul Kelso, Sky News.